Are you ready to take your business to the next level? Every day there are countless books and articles that are published offering the key on how to make your business a success. It's easy to feel overwhelmed trying to keep up and run your business. That's why Deb Creer created the Business Power Hour. Keep up on the latest trends, best practices, and techniques for how to make your business a success. Let the Business Power Hour do the heavy work for you.
Good morning. Good morning. I am Deb Creer, and I am passionate about giving professionals the tools that they need to make themselves and their businesses as successful as possible. And I am so excited to talk to my guest today because we're going to be talking about several things that are so critical for people to know as they're doing business right now. So please join me in welcoming Jessica Embree to our program today. Welcome, Jessica. How are you doing?
I'm well, Deb. So excited to be here.
Perfect. I love it. Well, let me tell people just a little bit about you, and then we will jump into this. So Jessica Embree has been the creative director at Tulip Media Group for over 8 years. She started when she was 12. She is a StoryBrand Certified guide who works with their client partners to craft their brand identities into compelling stories, with clear and consistent marketing messaging. Jessica is also Google Ad certified and takes the lead on keyword strategies and research for all of Tulip Media's print and digital marketing programs. She is also the co-author of Double Sales, Zero Salespeople. Optimize your sales and marketing into one business development strategy that works. So again, Jessica, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
I love it. Well, I always like to find out from my guests how it is that they got to where they are today. So tell us a little bit more about that.
So I grew up as an entrepreneurial spirit.
Okay.
My father was self-employed.
Mm.
I had my first business when I was 10, door-to-door blueberry sales. And I always loved marketing. And Tulip Media is a big marketing engine, what we do for our clients, digital and print marketing. And in the last 10 years, we have shifted so much of our strategies, so much so that in 2019, we realized we had a huge problem. Our cost of sales, cost of acquisitions was $40,000.
Wow.
Yeah.
You got to bill a lot to make that back up.
Exactly. It wasn't sustainable. And we realized we were calling people who were not raising their hand saying, this is the problem I'm having. We were doing a push strategy instead of a pull strategy. So we realized in a week that we needed to change everything we did. And within 3 months, we got that $40,000 cost of acquisition down to $4,000.
Wow. So, that's a big part of what you talk about in your book. And it is so interesting. You co-wrote it with your founder and CEO, Andy Biting. And, I was fascinated when I read it. And the premise, as we said at the very start, in the title is Zero Salespeople. And, and I love this because anytime we have, a discussion with somebody and you tell them you need to be a salesperson, you get the fish face, the ew, right? Nobody wants to be a salesman. Now, there are some people who are very good at it, but for the most part, we're not. So tell us a little bit more about this whole concept of not having salespeople.
Yeah, and we're not advocating to fire your salespeople. Right. We're advocating for you to put the right people in your sales cycle. The issue with a lot of businesses today is the sales and marketing team don't work together.
Right. They are in such silos, never the two shall meet.
Yeah. You have sales, you have marketing telling the story, doing a certain message, and then go over to sales and sales completely doing something different. It's not cohesive. They're not communicating. So when it comes to having zero salespeople in your organization, we're asking you to actually put people in place that do the best in the certain part of the sales process. And at Tulip Media, we found that the best people were the people in production, the people who were talking the talk and walking the walk.
Right. They know what's going on.
Yeah, they were getting excited. They were saying, oh my goodness, I'm so excited to do your magazine. We could do this. We could do this. And it gets the customer excited and they say, yes, I will sign on that dotted line. It's more exciting. It's more, gets people energized. And a salesperson while they can do their job correctly, they don't have that passion necessarily about PPC, about
Right.
keywords.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we're advocating in the book, is making sure your sales engine is running smoothly and that you have the right people in each
Mm-hmm.
part.
Right. And I was telling you when we were chatting before the program, I was talking with a friend of mine who owns his own marketing firm. So, that there's that disclaimer. He's a marketing guy.
Mm.
And he tells me that salespeople are often the worst people in a business. And again, they're wonderful people. We love them. We're not saying, and he said the problem is that they get so focused on, you have to sign on the dotted line right now and give us your deposit, your money, or whatever, that they forget that we have to bring them along in this process. We have to tell the stories. We have to find out, first of all, do they really need our product or service? And let's be honest, many salespeople don't even they don't even care about that. The reason people make the face with sales is, we're used to going to say, look at a new car, and you get pounced on, right? And they never pay attention to, you might say, I have kids, we need, something to transport them to, soccer practice. They want to sell you whatever they need to sell you to get it off the lot, because the pressure is on them to do that. It's, they don't want to be bad people. These are nice people. They want to please you. But when they're being told, we have an inventory of X that you have to get rid of, that's what happens. Or we've got this new product that we want you to sell, or this new service. And they really aren't doing all, as you said, all of the steps in between. So talk to us more about that.
Yeah. So for myself, for example, is I'm not a good closer, and I'm okay
Mm-hmm.
with that.
Right.
I get excited in the middle of the journey.
Mm-hmm.
I get excited being on demos, being like, okay, let's talk about your
Mm-hmm.
goals.
Mm-hmm.
You're really digging into what they actually
Mm-hmm.
need. Like I said, we want to set them up for success. We
Right.
want to sell them something that we know they're going to use for
Mm-hmm.
a very long time, have a great experience, and then spread that word of mouth.
Mm-hmm.
So when you look at your business engine in your business, and your sales engine, break it down into different steps, and then go to your team and say, okay, Jess, you don't like closing. You don't
Mm-hmm.
enjoy it at all. You don't enjoy the numbers. You like the middle part. That's where you're going to be in the process.
Mm-hmm.
You have a few people in your sales process, in
Mm-hmm.
quotes. That's okay. The way we do this, because we've had people say, well, isn't that a lot of people in the sales process to introduce to someone?
Right. Are we going to confuse the client? And mm-hmm.
No, because clients can respect you saying, hey, we have an expert in PPC who
Right.
really wants to talk to you about this.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't you get on a call with Jess?
Mm-hmm.
She's going to talk you through. She's going to align with you on what your actual budget should be and
Mm-hmm.
what you don't need. And they love that. They love that they're actually getting more value out of this free sales call.
Mm-hmm.
So there's nothing wrong with bringing in someone else. It's not passing on sales call. It's bringing in more value to your customers.
Right. And I love that you say this, because closing really is one of the hardest things for people to do, to actually say, give me money, because we don't want to be pushy. We don't want to overstep. And so that, of course, is the problem. We never actually ask. And then we wonder, why aren't they working with us? Why didn't they love us? It's because we never asked. We never had that call to action. We never had any of that. And as you said, there are some people who that is their wheelhouse. They are perfect at doing that. So get them into that at the right stage, as opposed to right at the very beginning.
Yep. And we found that the way we set up our marketing now is closing's not an issue because we've done the right messaging.
Right.
So when people come in, they're educated buyers. They're going, yeah, that's what I want.
Right.
I just want a quick demo and then I'll sign on the line. So we don't necessarily need that pushy our salesman tactic. We are just giving them what they came for and what they need at the end of the day.
Right. Well, and the nice thing is that also allows you to determine fairly early on, this is not a good fit for them right now. And which is, that's complicated. And of course, one of the big things is figuring out exactly who it is you're trying to sell to. We talk a lot about avatars and who your perfect client is. And I always love it. And I'm sure you hear this every time when you say, who is your perfect client? And they smile at you and they say, everyone. And you're like, no. And there is nothing. I can never think of a product that every single person, at least in, a certain area, would buy. So yeah, your target is not everyone. But, even when you have that right target, sometimes it's just not a good fit for whatever reason. And so you've kind of gently and politely weeded them out at the start, as opposed to getting them a little bit further down the line, where then everybody discovers, okay, we just wasted everybody's time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And we run into that all the time when we go through the exercises of core customer, who's your character, and go like, oh, I have 10 of them. I'm like, okay, so let's narrow this down even more. What problem do they all have that you're trying to solve for them? That's your messaging.
Right.
That's what you want to go off of. That's what resonates with people, that when they go on your site, they're like, yeah, I am frustrated about my marketing. I'm overwhelmed. I don't know where to go. Okay, Tulip Media can help me out with that. That's something that they resonate with.
Right. So walk us through, new client comes to you. Kind of talk about the process of this discovery.
So right now, all of our inbound marketing is via our marketing strategies like PPC, website marketing, blogging. And when they come in, they either book a call with us or they get a magazine quote with us. So it's very optimized in that way. We have Calendly set up, so it's very convenient for our clients. That's another thing that businesses need to pay attention to. Is it?
I know. Oh my gosh. You folks, y'all need online scheduling. The worst thing is, Jessica, will Tuesday at 2 work? No, Tuesday at 2 won't work. Well, what about Wednesday? No. Just have your online calendar, keep it current, and just do that. It's not difficult.
No, and if you make it easy for people to buy from you, your conversion rate will just soar.
Right.
That's something we sometimes forget about. We have people going through 10 different landing pages and we get lost and we forget why we're here. So
what was I there to buy?
So when we have that person come in, they are usually, we know their business URL, we know what they're looking for. So feel informed. They're a little bit informed because they came in through our sales funnel. We have that intro call with them. We talk through things. We'll either send them a proposal or we'll say, let's get on a demo. And in our book that we wrote, we had a 7 sales cycle. I think it was in there. It's actually shortened quite a bit because we have optimized our sales cycle so much that we have informed people going, okay, demo's great. Give me the proposal. Where can I sign? Let's get this going. And what we're looking for lately with Tulip Media is not a lot of leads. We're looking for more quality leads.
Right.
That's what matters at the end of the day. We don't want to send our clients not quality leads. That's wasting our clients' time.
Right.
We want to send them quality leads that they're looking for, the buyer's informed, and that they can convert fast at the end of the day.
Right. Yeah, I was looking at somebody else's website or reading. There was something that I saw earlier today where they were saying that their sales team is supposed to do, and this was an odd number, so I wondered where they came up with this, 55 calls a day. And I did wonder why 55, and somewhere, some math thing came out with that. But if you're making 55 calls a day, you're probably only getting 2 or 3. And now, if somebody's really good at the inbound stuff, you might be getting much higher rate than that, but you're wasting your time on probably 50 of those calls. So why not say, okay, we want you to speak with, if you're going to make them do this, I'm not an advocate of this, but if you're going to make them be, doing these, have them talk to maybe less than 10, and weed it down, or even less than 5. I mean, if 1 is who you need, then, why are you going to do that? And we talk about that a lot because so many people, and this comes back to the, my target audience is everyone. They think, especially new people in business or those who are struggling, we have to reach out to everyone because we don't want to miss anyone.
Yeah.
And, and that's just never going to be a good philosophy.
Yeah. And I mean, that's why you have to narrow down your analytics. Like you said, we used to have that kind of benchmark as you have to have this many calls a day. not working for us. It's okay. We had 10 leads this week. Out of those 10 leads, how many of them turned into proposals? How many of them turned into opportunities? Those are the metrics that matter. And sometimes as a business, we need to look at what metrics are we using? What metrics are we counting? And do they make sense? Do they make sense for our business? Are they driving revenue? Because that's what matters at the end of the day.
Right.
We have a fire truck manufacturer here in Canada, and they have $1 million trucks, $500,000.
They're not going to talk to a lot of people.
They don't need 50 leads a week. They need 2. And I even talked to him and I'm like, do you want more than that? And he goes, I can't take any more than that. We are up till 2025 right now in orders. I don't want any more. That's okay for them. They are still their money. They're still growing their business.
So question on that, he tells you, we have business through 2025. I mean, that's 18-ish months, right?
Yep.
Should they stop their marketing right now?
No.
I knew you were going to say that. But that's a mistake a lot of people make, right?
Well, then your pipeline starts to dry up because, for example, these fire trucks, they take a year to build.
Right.
So you need to keep that pipeline going. And it's funny, whenever I talk to clients, we're always get into the discussion of, well, the first thing businesses cut is marketing. When they need to lean down their business, their expenses, their investments, the first thing they cut is marketing. And I always say, I think that's a mistake.
Right.
Your marketing is what's driving your revenue. Your marketing is what is getting brand awareness out about your business. If you are trying to raise your revenue by 10% next year, but you're cutting your marketing, my question always to the client is, well, what are you going to do differently to get to that 10%? Are you doing something different in sales? Are you doing something different in marketing? To do something different to get that 10% gap filled.
Right. Well, and a lot of times they cut marketing because it is hard to determine how effective marketing is, because you can tell with sales, right? This guy comes in and he says, I made 4 sales this week and we brought in X number of dollars. And marketing people say, well, we ran some ads and we sent out a mailer. And so part of this is teaching marketing people how to show their value.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think ROI always, that's the big word on everybody's mouth. That's what's the ROI of this? And that's why when we talk to our clients, we're like, okay, I don't care about clicks so much. I don't care about impressions so much. I want to know how many leads we had this month, how many leads we had this week. Are they quality leads? Are they moving the needle forward? So that's why when it comes to having those discussions is looking at the right metrics for your business and knowing what matters to you and what's driving that revenue.
Right. And it is so important to do that whole process. I ran an ad on Facebook several weeks ago and had 258 click-throughs, which that was really good. It's a very finite thing that we were looking for. And so my first thought was, oh my gosh, 258 people, 0 bought. So clearly there was something wrong. But yeah, if I had just looked at that initial metric, I was thrilled beyond words. But then I had to carry it through and go, okay. And so then the thought process is, why? Why did that happen? When they got to the site, what was the problem? So that's it. And that's where all of these discussions have to take place, because you need to know from whoever has the initial contact with potential clients, why didn't it move forward?
Yep.
That is in many ways a far more important discussion than how many did you buy?
Yep. Where did they stop in the customer journey and why? And that's why at Tulip, the first thing we do with our clients on the digital side is, okay, let's make sure your storefront, your website is ready for visitors.
Right.
Because if your website's not ready, why are we doing PPC campaigns? Why are we doing blogging? If people don't know how to get in touch with you, people don't know what you're trying to sell them. So we always make sure their website's ready. And we pair that with a keyword analysis too, to make sure you're speaking the right jargon.
Right.
Sometimes we get into what I call the curse of knowledge. We've been in our own business for so long that we start to use phrases that people don't understand.
Right.
Like I could have said cost of acquisition, but I usually say COA, but people are going, what's a COA?
Wait, no, we're Googling it real quick and trying to not let you see, right?
Exactly. And we work with a lot of insurance agencies, and they
Mhm.
like to use commercial insurance. Well,
Mhm.
to a buyer, they understand business insurance instead
Mhm.
of commercial.
Right.
It's making sure you're using the right jargon. It's
Mhm.
making sure you're using the right messaging.
Mhm.
And that's why your website is so important
Mhm.
before we even go to the next thing, which is usually PPC,
Mhm.
blogging, email newsletter. You need to make sure your storefront's ready.
Mhm. Right. And so many people think, well, we'll just talk to them. But if they don't, I don't even remember the last time I bought something where I hadn't at least done a little bit of research online. Some, depending on what it was, if it was a major purchase, then you did a lot of research online. But we still go to people's websites. And folks, your Facebook business page is not your website. It should be sending people to your website. Um, I get probably one or two a month still where people say, well, we've decided not to have a website because we have a Facebook business page. Well, that's great until you have an issue. I was getting ready to go on vacation earlier this year, and I manage about 15 different Facebook business pages.
Mhm.
And my account got hacked. I got locked out of my personal account, and it truly was hacked. Some other person had it. I was going on vacation. It was like, oh, this is disaster. Because of course my big worry was, because I do ads, that meant that they had my credit card information. I mean, all sorts of stuff. And so have backups, folks. Have other people who can do all of this stuff on your page. But it effectively shut us down for several days. And I mean, that is in essence the same thing as if you shut the doors of your business. So, don't ever rely on something, especially like Facebook, that belongs to somebody else. If your own website goes down, then you can talk to, your vendors, to your host, and maybe figure out what's going on there. But yeah, Facebook, it's iffy if that's the only place you exist.
Well, I mean, back to what you said, it's all about control.
Mhm.
You have control over your Squarespace site, your
Mhm.
Wix site, your WordPress
Yep.
site. But if, like you said, Facebook, you could get hacked,
Mhm.
or, Twitter's thinking about actually starting to make people pay for
Mhm.
to use it. What
Mhm.
if Facebook follows the suit?
Mhm.
So, yes, it will cost money for you to get that website
Mhm.
up and running. However, there are places like
Mhm.
Squarespace and Wix who
Right.
make it easy for you to
Mhm.
drag and
Mhm.
do. Um,
At
Facebook is
least have one page, folks. Have
Facebook
something simple.
or ClickFunnels. You could do
Mhm.
ClickFunnels, which
Mhm.
is it's technically a website that you could be running,
Right.
and that's, again, very easy for you to do.
Mhm.
But Facebook, while something very important for your business, or
Mhm.
socials are very important for your
Mhm.
business, might not be your end all storefront
Mhm.
you want people going to.
Right. Yeah. Always remember somebody else owns those.
Yeah.
And I do think it is important to have a presence on the ones that are applicable to your clients or your potential clients. But yeah, things can happen. And they might, like you were saying, Twitter and X, yeah, and I mean, they can change the rules. They own that toy. We could log into our Facebook business pages tomorrow and discover they're going to charge us $500 or more a month. I mean,
Yeah.
you never know. So always have your own house.
Yeah. And I really like what you said too, is go where your people are, go where your
Mhm.
customers are. I always have clients coming to me and going, Jess, should I be on Pinterest? I'm like, I don't think you're a B2B business. I don't know if Pinterest is really you.
Mhm.
Go where your core customer are. If you're a
Mhm.
B2B business, that's maybe LinkedIn. If you're
Mhm.
B2C, maybe that's TikTok.
Mhm.
Go where they are. Don't waste your revenue, don't waste your money, don't waste your
Mhm.
marketing dollars on something that
Right.
your core customers aren't
Mhm.
on.
Right. Yeah. And your time is just as important,
Yeah.
or actually more important, right? And I'm one of these people that I'm like squirrel. So, that's why I'm not on all of those other platforms, because I just go down those rabbit holes and never come back out. But yeah, as you're figuring out who your best client is, figure out where they're going to be. If they're not going to be on TikTok, and you like it, fine, do that for your personal, but figure out where they're going to be, and then remember, things do change.
And one thing to say about socials is it's interruption marketing. People are just constantly scrolling. They're not necessarily there to buy, scrolling through, which is why I like PPC, Google Ads, because that's when people are typing in the problem you're trying to solve. They're looking for marketing agencies near me. They're looking for fire truck manufacturers near me, and your ad is popping up. You're providing a solution right then and there.
Right. I remember one time and this was a while ago, somebody was saying he was trying to get in front of one specific person for a job interview. And he figured out somehow how to run Google ads so that he came up when this guy did a search. And because it was the weirdest thing. Now that's not going to happen, folks. That's like way too targeted. But yeah, figure out again who you're trying to reach and do your advertising there. And so I think one of the things that people tell me a lot of, Jessica, is this, but that's expensive. It costs too much money. We want to do the free stuff. Talk to us a little bit about Google Ads.
Yeah. So I get that all the time. They're like, oh, that's expensive. I don't want to spend thousands of dollars. I have clients who spend $1,000 a month and they get the return on investment. I have clients who spend $10,000 a month and they get the return on investment that they want. It's all about what your goal is. Usually we say, how many leads are you getting right now? Okay, that's going to be our benchmark, but we're going to raise it a little bit as we continue to talk. But with Google Ads, it's all about keywords. It's all about your messaging. If you have a keyword, fire truck manufacturer, that's what you want to be using.
Right.
The keywords are the fuel of your company. They get people going. But one thing with Google Ads, and this is where a lot of people waste money, is they use ambiguous terms. So back to the fire truck manufacturer. I don't want to use a keyword just saying fire truck. People could be searching for fire trucks online, looking for coloring pages, looking
a toy.
You want to use specific keywords that kind of you down. That way you're not spending money on things that are just going to waste your dollars. That's where people get in trouble. That's where you have to really think about your keywords. And that's why we do that competitive and keyword analysis.
Right. And it's funny, you're not old enough to remember this. I remember when all of this first started and Google was still trying to figure out what it was doing. And we had, multiple search engines at that point. And there still are, but, Google's the big dog, but everything applies to the other search engines too. But, and so we would put in keywords your competitors' names or other things that people might be searching for that then your ad would pop up. And that worked really well for a long time. I mean, but of course what happened was Google got smart, and said, no, you can't put Walmart in your keywords, just because you want your thing to pop up. And it even penalizes you to some degree. But, there are other things like and please feel free to correct me if I'm wrong on this, because I'm certainly far from an expert, to figure out, okay, I might put Deborah, Debbie. I might deliberately misspell my name because somebody might do that. So that's okay, right? But I can't put Jessica Embree in my keywords, hoping that anybody looking for you finds me.
Google doesn't want you to misrepresent what people are clicking on. So if you were trying to mimic me, they would be like, no, Deb, you can't do that. Right. Now, in terms of different variations of your name, absolutely. That's why they have different types of keywords. There's phrase match, there's broad match, there's exact match. So you have Deb right there. But they also have negative keywords. Things you don't want popping up, your ad popping up for. And this is really powerful too, because we're not just a printing and distribution company for magazines. We are a turnkey solution. So we don't want to come up as a magazine printer. We want to come up as a customized magazine programs. So we have to use negative keywords to make sure people, even though they are looking for magazine help, want the people looking for printers, our Google ads, and wasting our money there.
Cool. Well, you've mentioned this now several times, and I found this on your website that, oh my gosh, this is so cool. And that is that you do magazines.
Yeah.
So talk to it, because, first of all, people are like, what's that? So we're going to talk about the importance of still having print. But so let's do that first. Let's talk about why print is still so important as opposed to 100% digital.
Yeah. And I mean, we get that all the time. Just print is dead. And you're like, no, no, it's not when used correctly.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so we do custom magazines and newsletters for
Mm-hmm.
all over North America. People who are looking for credibility, brand
Mm-hmm.
awareness, longevity in their print marketing campaigns. They're looking for retention. So they have
Mm-hmm.
a big, big client list and they want to give them value added
Mm-hmm.
content that show up right on their door.
Mm-hmm.
There's something so tangible about holding a piece of
Mm-hmm.
marketing that people just keep it longer.
Mm-hmm.
And it creates that community too. So if you
Mm-hmm.
had a Power Hour magazine full of content of
Right.
marketers and
Mm-hmm.
businesses, case studies of
Mm-hmm.
people learning from your content,
Mm-hmm.
that creates a sense of community.
Mm-hmm.
People just keep it longer
Mm-hmm.
with. And so we do everything from, we have jewelry magazines, we have fire truck magazines, we have newsletter, garden center magazines,
Mm-hmm.
insurance magazines. It can be used when correctly, it can be used for any
Mm-hmm.
industry. And it's all about who are you sending it to? Will
Mm-hmm.
they find value in that content?
So somebody produces it for, I mean, or you produce it for a specific company. Is that how that works?
Yeah. So we
It's
have
their content.
yep, it's their content. So we have everything from ghostwriters to
Mm-hmm.
designers to proofers.
Mm-hmm.
And what we do is we'll say, okay, you have a 16-page magazine, let's start filling it. And our project managers will work with our clients and say, okay, insurance agency XYZ, what do you want to talk about? What's really hot in the insurance industry? How can we make insurance interesting for consumers or
Right.
business who are getting this magazine? So we interview those clients. We put in value added content. We put in QR codes to make it integrated with
Mm-hmm.
between digital and print.
Well, and I remember when we would get magazines and when I, especially, when I was in agencies and other places like that, but then you'd have the sticky note on the front. So whoever got it, and then they put your name, right? And you were supposed to read whatever they wanted you to read, check it off and hand it to the next person. And that really, I mean, that still happens. And the cool thing about it is when it's in print, you can send somebody an email, obviously, with a link saying, hey, this is a great article.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they may not read it, who knows, but there is something about having that tangible thing that, and of course, if you send somebody a link, they may or may not read anything else. More than likely they're going to read whatever that one was and they're not going to do anything else. When you have a magazine, even if it's something that's fairly short, you're probably going to flip through it and read other things.
Yep. I have a Costco magazine that comes to my door every month and I'll look through it because
Oh
I'm
yeah.
a customer. I'm
Mm-hmm.
going, what's going on?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there's some interesting
Mm-hmm.
recipes in here because they're not only trying to sell their product, they're
Right.
giving complimentary articles in
Right.
there.
Mm-hmm.
Engage and get my
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember years ago we used to do a newsletter, and I think I work for an agency, and I actually don't even remember what the client was. It's that long ago, but we always included recipes
Mhm.
because and it didn't pertain in any way to whatever it was, but people kept it
Mhm.
because it had that cool recipe. And did they maybe tear that recipe out? Well, maybe, but yeah, they kept the magazine that we had, and it was probably more like a newsletter. But yeah, so have those things in there. What are decorating tips for Halloween? Top 5 children's toys to buy for Christmas. All of those things. So sometimes it can pertain to your business. Sometimes it's just great information that you're giving to people.
Yeah, and we do a lot of that engaging content too in
Mm-hmm.
our B2C businesses.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, let's put some crosswords in there.
Mm-hmm.
Let's put some QR codes that go to
Right.
a quiz on our website
Mm-hmm.
so that it gets stuck in our customer journey on our
Mm-hmm.
website. Engaging, like marrying your print and digital marketing is
Mm-hmm.
becoming easier and easier.
Right.
Um, there's AR technologies,
Mm-hmm.
there's AI technologies,
Mm-hmm.
there's VR technologies that now people are starting to integrate in there as
Mm-hmm.
well. And I think the other beauty of print marketing is it's becoming again popular because of AI and
Mm-hmm.
what the rise of that
Mm-hmm.
technology has been having in the last few months. I think with AI, as beautiful as it is, it's actually kind of scary beautiful
Mm-hmm.
how fast AI is growing. But AI is also allowing print to become more credible because now people are saying, is this actually written by a human? They're starting to distrust what they
Mm-hmm.
see online. So print brings that credibility again to
Right. Well, and of course, the funny thing is, you could have used AI to write the article, you know? But yeah, there's just something again that makes it more credible to see it in print.
Yeah, they invested a lot of time and
Mm-hmm.
resources in this magazine.
Mm-hmm.
There's definitely a real person behind this
Mm-hmm.
magazine. Yeah.
Right. And it is so that the person I was talking to yesterday, that's what we were talking about was AI and, how to use it in marketing. And you're right. It is scary. I mean, there are some things about it that are a little freaky, but at the same point, it's so cool.
It's
And I use it to write my blog posts. Otherwise, I would sit here and stare at the computer screen and then pretty soon, go off and do something else. But I can, go through, give a couple prompts in AI and get an article that then I personalize. And I think that's the thing that many people forget is it going to be absolutely perfect? Probably not. And so you need to go through and put your voice to it. And for the people who are saying it's going to take jobs, maybe, but those people need to figure out how to use it to enhance their job, and so they can say, okay, I'm an AI marketing expert. So then they're going to use it because it still needs those personal touches. And as we know, right now, at least, I'm sure this is going to catch up pretty fast. The data is old, several years old. And so if it says, 29% of people do whatever, you need to research that because 29% is a number that's several years old. But yeah, it still needs those personal touches. Will it figure those out at some point? Maybe. I mean, the way it's evolving, there is kind of the sky is the limit. But yeah, for those who are worried about it, figure out how to incorporate it into what you do instead of being scared of it.
Yeah, lean into it and make yourself more efficient.
Mm-hmm.
Do not let it to be your end draft.
Right.
Let it just help you get the juices, the creative
Mm-hmm.
flowing, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
Again, huge conversation we've had with a lot of our clients because they're
Mm-hmm.
like, why do we need your blogging services if I could just type this into AI? I said, because if you can type this into AI and get an article, so can your competitor.
Right.
That's not original content.
Mm-hmm.
That's not content that Google's liking
Mm-hmm.
on their on your page necessarily. You want to make sure it's still keyword optimized. You want to
Mm-hmm.
make sure that, like you said, it has some personality, it has your
Mm-hmm.
voice, it has case studies in it, it
Mm-hmm.
invokes emotion. And right now, AI can evoke emotion.
Right.
They can write a very flat article. You
Mm-hmm.
need to make it yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Have it as your assistant, absolutely, to
Mm-hmm.
make yourself more efficient. Do not let it be the end all
Mm-hmm.
for your marketing campaigns.
Right. And like we've been saying, it's very interesting. I mean, I like telling it, this is really silly. I like telling it something and then watching it type, right? I'm like, ooh, and what I have found is it definitely shortens my process of whatever it is that I'm doing. And there are times where it's like, wow, I'd never thought of it that way. Or it reinforces what I was thinking about. And so that's always good. But yeah, I mean, it's just like having an assistant. It's just an assistant that's, behind the monitor.
Yep. And it's a lot of people think chat GPT is such a dirty word to say if they're talking. It's not. Like you said, it's an
Right.
assistant. It's
Mm-hmm.
here to help you. If I need 10 meta descriptions that are
Mm-hmm.
based off of this,
Mm-hmm.
there's nothing wrong with that. But just don't make sure you always have a human
Mm-hmm.
eye looking at it to make
Right.
sure that's what your voice is,
Mm-hmm.
making sure you're tweaking it and
Mm-hmm.
personalizing it to yourself. And I mean, there's different AI
Mm-hmm.
actually technologies that are coming out every day. Google is going to be changing the way we shop in the next few months. Just the way when you type something in search bar, it
Mm-hmm.
pops up images of what you're looking
Mm-hmm.
for. It has generative AI now. Photoshop AI is
Mm-hmm.
amazing. A lot of the listeners probably have heard of it or seen it on
Mm-hmm.
TikTok or socials.
Mm-hmm.
What you can do with photos now is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Again, reinforcing print being
Right.
more credible because now people are
Mm-hmm.
feel that trust with print.
Right.
But every day there seems to be something new. I think I saw a website that you could type in what you do, what your current site is, and it
Mm-hmm.
will automatically create a new website for you. So this is changing every day and it's
Mm-hmm.
getting scary, excitingly scary, I
Mm-hmm.
want to say.
Right.
You just need to lean into it. You just
Mm-hmm.
need to accept that this might be the new norm, but how are your business going to
Mm-hmm.
react to it and how can you be proactive in it? So
Right.
like you said, you can be the expert
Mm-hmm.
in this type of technology.
Mm-hmm. Right. And it isn't perfect. I was in Canva. Now I have the paid version of Canva,
Yeah.
but in the free version, this exists also, and that's the ability to do text to image. And it was funny. I did. I put in there, create an image of a man at a desk. And of course, the more descriptive you are, folks, the better this is. Otherwise, you get weird things. But so a man at a desk looking at his computer monitor with his hand on his face. So it was supposed to be he's in deep thought, right? Um, and it generates this image, and and my first thought was, well, that's really cool. Wait a minute. And I kept looking and I kept looking, and I don't know how his hand went into his eye. I mean, it was creepy. But and then I could not get that out of there. I mean, I don't know how it figured, but yeah, it was like, I said remove hand. Well, then his eye was gone. I mean, it was like, but yeah, but it gave me a start again as to what you can do.
Yeah.
And so, but yeah, always double check all of these. You don't want the hand in the eye or the wrong statistic or whatever.
And you bring up a good point. Prompts are very important. Sometimes when you're going to do something or a client's going to do something, they don't know what they actually want. So they're not being descriptive. They don't have that image of what they're trying to achieve. So AI doesn't work for them necessarily, and that's okay. It's just that's where people like Tulip Media and other marketing agencies and other businesses come in, because we hear what you're saying in terms of what your goal is, and we kind of have that vision on how to get there.
Right. Well, let's talk some more, because this I think is what is the ultimate that we all have to figure out, and that is, who is your core customer?
Yeah.
And and I mentioned in your bio that you are a StoryBrand expert. So talk to us more about that, because again, folks, everyone is not who you are selling to.
Yeah. So we are a StoryBrand Certified agency. And what that means, if anybody is familiar with Donald Miller building a StoryBrand, is we've gone through the courses, we've gone through the training, and we know how to narrow down what type of messaging is going to resonate with your core customer. And it's a 7-part framework where you look through the character, you look at their problem, you become the guide in your messaging. You showcase a plan, because we are very simple human beings and we just need to showcase what steps need to be taken so our visitors can contact us. It needs to show success, and it needs to show failure as well.
Right. And it is something that, again, people, they don't want to figure out, they don't want to eliminate a potential buyer. So, but I've used this example before. I was at a networking thing, and this was a while ago, but everybody went around the room, gave their little 30-second spiel, and this woman sold skincare products. And so she would say, my audience is everyone, because we all have skin. Everybody has skin. And, but when it came to either buying her product, or more importantly for all of us, referring clients to her, we couldn't do it, because we went, everybody has skin. So now we're confused. And so we worked with her to get it. And now she fine-tuned really small. And it was really kind of funny, because it worked very well for her. So she refined to, she sold skincare products for teenage boys, 16 years old, who had acne. And we all went, well, we know somebody like that, right? Or we might say, what about a 16-year-old girl? Or, we could maybe pick something out of there, an adult with acne or something like that. But when she narrowed it down to 16-year-old boys with acne, every single person knew somebody that we could refer to her. Yep. And so it really did simplify that process for her, because she wasn't talking to people who, were, they were fine with whatever they could buy at their local drugstore. She needed to get very specific. Then could she broaden? Yes, but she had to narrowly target first.
Yeah. It's like, I'd say to you, Deb, do you know anyone who needs a marketing agency? You kind of probably
I'm like, maybe.
Say, Deb, do you know anybody who's really frustrated with their marketing right now and like struggling? And you're going, okay, yeah, maybe. So it's rephrasing the problem. It's rephrasing who's the guide, and it's telling people what it is you do and what solution you bring to the table.
Right. And, share that with people. Like I said, when she told us this is who it was, then we knew. Because we all know that the best way to, is word of mouth.
Yeah.
We can see ad after ad, we can get brochure, we can get magazine, all these various things. But when a random person on Facebook who we don't know says, buy from here, we do. So word of mouth is just so incredibly important. So why not make it easy for people to say, you all need to call Jessica?
Yeah. And so is retention. Like you were
Mhm.
just saying, when you get someone who loves you,
Right.
make sure you keep them, because
Mhm.
if you lose that client, now you have to
Mhm.
get two clients to grow,
Right.
just
Right.
one. So you
So
want to
what are some strategies for retaining clients?
So there's a few different ones, but of course, open communication with your
Mhm.
clients. Have monthly calls with them, so you're keeping up with them. You're
Mhm.
seeing what's going on in their business, their life. Create that relationship.
Mhm.
Treat them well. Always have that upfront expectation on
Mhm.
what they're hiring you to do.
Mhm.
I find upfront contracts are great. Going
Mhm.
in saying, okay, this is where you're at, this is where you're going to be.
Mhm.
If we're all on the same page in terms of communication,
Mhm.
that's where the magic happens.
Mhm.
We always love to gift at Tulip Media, so we always try to get that to know that person
Mhm.
very well. Again, treating them right, keeping those
Mhm.
expectations, and making sure that at the end of the day, they love what you do. They love
Mhm.
the product that they're getting from you.
Right. Right. And it used to be when there were, the Dale Carnegie sales training, the good salespeople had these boxes, and they were cards.
Mhm.
So they would say, okay, here is Jessica's birthday, here's her anniversary, and all these various things, and you would get those cards.
Mhm.
And now, of course, we can send the note on Facebook or through LinkedIn or whatever that says happy birthday, happy work anniversary, all of those things. But again, if I get a card, I have birthday cards that I received years ago stuck up on my door.
Yeah.
Or thank you cards. More important, folks, thank you cards. And so again, that print stuff really is something very important. Now, be careful that you're not stalking them, that you're not, freaking them out with how did they know that was when my anniversary was. But there are we like that, and thank you cards really, that's just, even if you didn't make the sale, why not send them a hi, it was really nice chatting with you and getting to know you, please keep me in mind for the future type of card.
Yep. I mean, your emptiest inbox is your mailbox.
Right.
You get probably hundreds of emails a day, but how
Oh
much
yeah. Mm-hmm.
mail do you get a day? So that's, again, print is more credible.
Right.
It's more impactful
Mm-hmm.
sometimes when you're sending to the right person.
Mm-hmm. Right, except if it's political. Oh, right. We get, but they really are. I mean, they're following that same principle,
Yeah.
because we tune out the commercials that we're hearing. We're not, maybe not even paying attention when they're being interviewed. But when you get that flyer or whatever from them in the mail, you might stop and read it. And so that, of course, is where it's so important to make sure what you're putting there is something that is valuable.
Yeah, exactly.
It's funny. I actually won a contest one time, direct marketing thing, where my clients were hairstylists, and they loved them dearly. And we ran this really edgy campaign for them in a place that was not real edgy, but it actually worked pretty well. But one of the things they had said in this was, say that everybody who gets this gets 20% off.
Mhm.
And I said, okay, how many are we sending it to? And this was long enough ago that you bought the list from people and all of these various things. But and so we started doing the math, and I said, you guys can't do that. You cannot fulfill that number, because if even 5% called in, that was going to be hundreds of people calling in. And and so then we went back and said, the first 20 or something like that. I don't know what we did, but yeah, that comes back to what we were saying. Be careful of what you're saying. And also remember, as Jessica was saying, some of these things sit around for a long time.
Mhm.
So, you might have to honor a price on something, if you didn't say, this price valid through December 31st of 2023, somebody finds it 2 years from now, and then you have to make the decision. Do you want them as a client, Or do you want to say, we're sorry, that price is no longer valid?
Yep. And there is nothing wrong, like you said, saying the first 50 people
Right.
to
Mm-hmm.
will get this deal,
Mm-hmm.
because that also creates a sense of urgency. And
Right.
that also
Mm-hmm.
creates a sense of fear of missing out.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, FOMO. Ooh. Mm-hmm.
So if you do something negative in your messaging,
Mm-hmm.
like the next 10 people to do this will get this deal, or 5 things that are making your website suck,
Mm-hmm.
people will download that
Mm-hmm.
PDF because of that fear of missing out. They're like,
Right.
okay, I need to know what are the 5 things that are making my website suck.
Mm-hmm. Right. And don't have 25, have
No,
5. You know?
always an odd number for some
Mhm.
reason. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, it's and a lot of people say 3. I mean, the designers will tell you, put things in threes. But yeah, it's very interesting when you start looking at the psyche of people. Because then it comes back to also things like color, content. I always laugh when I'm watching something on TV and an ad comes on that is very clearly for somebody very different.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're watching, say, Criminal Minds or something that's pretty gritty, and a toy commercial comes on, or children's cereal. I'm like, I don't think they're watching this, especially not at 10 o'clock at night. And so it's always, as we only have so many dollars and so much time. So why not make sure that, okay, it's going to be seen by the right people at the right time?
Yeah. It goes back to that psyche.
Mm-hmm.
Children's cereal is at children's height on the store at
Mm-hmm.
stores because
Right. Yeah. The granola is up here. Captain Crunch is lower.
they want the child to see the colorful
Mm-hmm.
blue and yellow
Mm-hmm.
boxes. So they pick them out and go, Mommy, can you buy this for me?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's part of marketing, is that's
Mm-hmm.
what I find it so interesting, is how is marketing influencing
Mm-hmm.
people to buy from them?
Right. Yeah, and it really is in many cases something very simple, like product placement. You just don't stop to think, hey, what if we put this higher, lower on an end cap? Of course, end caps are always really hot ticket items, because you might not go down that aisle, but ooh, there's that cereal you've been thinking about buying.
Yeah, and I mentioned it in the book, Double Sales, Zero Salespeople, but we were having an issue with one of our Google ads. It was not converting for some reason. And I looked at the desktop version, I could not figure it out. And the Google ad was around custom
Mm-hmm.
magazines for your business, branded magazines. Could not figure out what was wrong with it.
Mm-hmm.
Finally, one day I picked up my phone and went on the site, and I realized because of the way our site was laid out,
Mm-hmm.
it was showing newsletter publishing first instead of magazine publishing.
Ah.
So just swapping that, we went
Mm-hmm.
from 1 lead a week to
Mm-hmm.
getting 1 lead a day.
Right.
So sometimes it's something very simple that's
Mm-hmm.
holding back your marketing.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I'm a big believer in saying, if you do something on your website, look at it on your mobile, because
Mm-hmm.
it can look completely different from
Right.
what you expect.
Right. Well, and even when people say, well, my site is mobile optimized, yeah, it may be, but it's going to rearrange stuff, and depending on how it was set up. So, yeah, double check those things. There's a newspaper that I look at frequently online where I'm almost ready to give up because it has so many pop-up ads and you can't close them. I mean, it's just, and but we've all seen sites like that, right? And I totally understand why. They aren't selling print versions or aren't selling nearly as much, so their ad revenue is down.
Mm-hmm.
They have to make money, so they have online advertising, right? This makes sense. But if there's more advertising than content, or if you can't get to the content, you need to make sure that you're rethinking your process.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. I mean, it just comes down to that at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm. Right. And consistency too. I mean, we've all seen where we get this really cool flyer and it says, go to such and such website, and we go and it looks totally different. And so then the first thing I must have typed this wrong, right?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, if you use blues predominantly on your website and have certain images, then that should be what your print, or at least a landing page, right? Get them there to start with. And because, I have the attention span and the patience of a gnat, and I know I'm not, I think Facebook did a thing, we talk about gnats. I believe Facebook did a study that said we now all have the attention span of a goldfish, which is 4 seconds. I don't know how they figured this out, but whatever, it sounded fun. So if you haven't captured somebody's attention in 4 seconds, they're gone.
Yeah.
Even 10, that's, and I think people think, but my stuff is so great. They'll read it. Sorry.
Yeah. No, you have 3 to 5 seconds. You're right. It's 3 to 5 seconds to capture someone's attention and tell them what you do,
right,
how you can help them, and what call to action you can make.
right.
And some of us get caught up in big sentences. Keep it simple. Going back to keep it simple, silly. Keep it very simple. Talk at a grade 5 or 6 language level, so it's easy to consume that content.
Right, right. Well, oh my gosh, Jessica, this has been so much fun, and we really should do it again, because this is just such great information for everybody. But tell people more about Tulip Media Group and what are the services that you provide, and then how do they find that and how do they connect with you?
Absolutely. So Tulip Media helps businesses all over North America with their print and digital marketing, people who are struggling with retaining clients, people who are struggling with their marketing not giving them the ROI they're looking for. So we do that with print magazines and newsletters. We do that with PPC advertising, website messaging, SEO, blogging. We have email newsletter. At the end of the day, we're here to give you proven results. We're here to give you qualified leads, and that's what Tulip Media does. And
so how do they find you?
So you can find us at tulipmediagroup.com. And if you're interested in learning more about the book, Double Sales, Zero Salespeople, you can go to tm.media/double sales. There you can find a free chapter of the book. You can buy the book, or you can actually schedule a free call with me and we can talk about anything and everything marketing about your business.
Perfect. Say that one again.
Everything about marketing for your business. And that's tm.media/double sales.
Perfect. I love it. And I really am just totally fascinated with this concept of having magazines, print magazines and print newsletters, because we've gotten so far away from that.
Yeah.
And so, I love this. And definitely, I think people really need to think, okay, this is not $100 a month investment, people. It's going to cost you more than that. So you need to think through this process. But wow, you've got such great information on your website to show how this works. So I encourage people to go there. And again, it is tulipmediagroup.com. Do you have this? Really, as I said, has been such a great conversation. Do you have any final thoughts that you want to leave everyone with?
Yeah, listeners, get your storefront ready. Get your website ready for visitors. If your website is not ready for visitors, your marketing is going to fall flat. I hate to say it, but it's true. So make sure you have a landing page. Make sure you have a call to action, and make sure that it's easy for people to buy from you.
I love it. So much fun. Well, as I said, I've been having a wonderful discussion with Jessica Embree, who is the creative director at Tulip Media Group. She's also the co-author, and I'm going to give the whole title this one: Double Sales, Zero Salespeople. Optimize your sales and marketing into one business development strategy that works. So, Jessica, this has been fabulous. I'm Deb Creer, and until next time, everyone have a great day.
Tune in for our next program for even more trends, best practices, and techniques for how to make your business a success. The Business Power Hour, hosted by Deb Creer, is proud to be part of the C-Suite Network.